Sure, yeah. We today with the higher winds and the red flag warning, what we'll be doing is we won't be doing any major burnout operations. What we'll be doing is filling in spots that didn't burn very well yesterday in that buffer to strengthen that buffer to make sure that nothing leaves the unit. We'll also be patrolling that area, especially that north side of the fire, and keeping careful eyes on that to make sure the fire stays within the box today.
So Jim, I know earlier in the week you had some water drops here. Obviously that was happening in Salem as well. And I think it was on Tuesday we were here. You said it wasn't as effective as you had hoped because of the foliage. Any change in plan today or strategy?
No. So I mean, obviously the the problem the other day was that the leaves were falling to the ground and acted as a fuel, and so it wasn't successful. We're just hitting it with hand lines, tools, etc., and just going to keep going that route.
Can you talk about how different this firefighting process is? Are you bringing in bulldozers to cut lines? You're using saws, I would imagine. You're knocking down trees. You're not taking hoses to this fire, right? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I mean, really our focus is going to be the perimeter. I mean, there's going to be the inward part of the fire. It's going to burn. It's going to continue to burn until it runs out of fuel. We did have the DPW come in this morning and assist with widening some of the roads. And yeah, just kind of a work in progress.
Obviously, you guys are doing prescribed burns, or you did last night. Obviously, you won't be able to today, but neighbors we spoke to a little bit concerned it's going to reach them. I think that's primarily because of the heavy smoke. Talk about why that's unlikely.
So we're monitoring the area. We're, like I said, we've wet down the perimeters. We've been out throughout the night checking the areas, and I feel pretty confident with the plan in place.
You mentioned the fuel that still exists out there, even despite the burns that you guys have been doing. Realistically, how long could this continue to go on? I mean, are we talking days here or longer than that?
Sure. There'll likely be some heat in that fire until we get a significant rain event. So kind of a fair amount of rain over an extended period of time. Just because it's burning in the heavy fuels like stumps and logs, and it's also burning down into the ground. So we really need some precip to help us out. And in terms of one thing that the people around the fire can do, and across the state with the high fire danger, it's a really good time to leaf blow the leaves and the flammable materials out away from around your house, and that will keep any ember that could land near your house from igniting your house. So that's something really important that homeowners can do, other than not do any outdoor burning, and be very careful with any ignition source.
But no saws and mows, right? You don't want people mowing their lawn or using anything electrical, I would imagine, to get rid of some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think be very careful with any hot muffler of any piece of equipment you're using, and yeah, for sure, things that wouldn't normally catch a fire here in Massachusetts, we got to be careful. It's been dry for a long time. So
I just have two more quick questions. Can you talk about the concept of containment? It doesn't mean the fire's out, and that containment can go down, or it can go up, and it can fluctuate. Can you talk about what containment actually means?
Sure. We're talking about the percentage of the perimeter of the fire where we're sure that the fire is not going to break out. So if there's heat, even if it's not right on the edge, but there's enough heat in there, we don't want to call it completely out, because there's a chance things could reignite and send embers across the line. So that number can go up and down a little bit, but our big focus is on increasing that number up until we can get to 100% containment. And that's what we're doing is we call it mopping up, putting out those hot spots further and further in from the perimeter of the fire. And so we'll be working on that today as well.
When do you start the investigation, figuring out how this happened?
So that's ongoing. That's in the process. Timeline, I'm not really sure.
No, under technically what's being classified as a severe drought conditions in most of the Boston metro. In your recollection, how did these conditions compare to years past? I mean, how bad is this relative to what we're used to seeing in this area in the fall?
Well, I mean, I can tell you I grew up on this street, and I've seen the reservoir lower. So it's definitely low, but you know, it's definitely dry out there. So I don't know if you want to add to it.
You know, and speaking for the wildland fuels, they are very dry in terms of, you know, stream flow and other drought predictors. I don't think it's as bad as it has been, but as you know, we've had up in this area probably, you know, 0.2 of an inch of rain in the last, you know, several weeks. So that's very dry, and so it not only dries the tops of the leaves, but starts to dry the soil and the organic layer heading down into the duff, which makes extinguishing the fire completely difficult.
One neighbor had mentioned to me about gas lines and power lines being close to the fires. Have they caused any problems? Have you had to consider shutting off a gas line or anything?
No, we've been in contact with both agencies. They're aware of the situation. Ironically, they were the power line. They had a helicopter fly over yesterday, I believe, to check the area. So both agencies have been notified and are aware of the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Great. Thanks.
There's a bunch of stuff on here, but it's after those two color sets.